So you found out about wholesaling, you joined Astro.
Yep.
And then what are your goals? Where are you trying to go right now? What are your future goals right now? What are your goals for 2023?
So a few, actually.
Wait, actually, I got a better question. We're going to not do that question. We're going to do this
Oh,
question.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
You were talking about manifesting in your vision board earlier.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
talk about that? For people who don't know, what is a vision board? What is manifesting and how does it help you?
So it's really crazy how much it works. So manifesting is, just for me, it starts with meditation. So sitting in a quiet place and just meditating, closing my eyes, and I actually walk through a 6 phase meditation. I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week, and it walks you through these different phases of life of number one, gratitude, love, and then it goes to an exterior thing of visualizing your perfect day, visualizing, where you want to see yourself in the next 3 years and living out that day. And so that's where everything started in 2021. I close my eyes, and I would manifest literally the house that we built with my eyes closed in 2021. We were living in California. I envisioned a home with high ceilings, really open space. The kitchen was in the back. We had a large yard. I mean, everything that I visualized, we now have. So just
Right.
manifesting things that will come, believing that they'll come, and believing it with your whole heart, not worrying about how you're going to get it. Because at that time, I didn't know how we were going to get this house. I mean, hadn't even started wholesaling yet, but not worrying about the how, but just believing that it's going to happen, seeing it, visualizing it, putting yourself in that situation, putting yourself in the circumstance. It's so hard that you can smell it. If you're manifesting, like say you want to, go on a trip to India and do whatever it is, put yourself, feel the heat, feel smell. And if you're manifesting, hey, I want this car, close your eyes and visualize like sitting in that car. Me and my husband used to call it jackrabbiting. It's a whole story. Look it up, the jackrabbit factor. And this was back when we were scraping pennies for gas. He would take me to dealerships, and we would actually sit in the cars that we wanted and visualize. We would go to houses and take pictures of the houses that we were visualizing. And so my vision board that I have, I close lifting, even big lift. If I know I want to hit a big lift, I will close my eyes the night before and visualize myself walking up to that bar with the weight that's on there, and visualize myself actually hitting that weight, actually picking that bar up and accomplishing it and celebrating at the end. So I'm putting myself in the situation. I'm seeing myself do it in action. And then when that time comes, I've already done it. In my brain, I've already done it. I've already manifested it. I've already seen it happen. I've already felt it. So now when I do it, it's going to happen. So
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So how often do you do this? Do you do it all the time, or why do you do this? Does it actually make it more likely to happen? I'm asking rhetorically because I know that.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do it daily, but I lost my AirPods this weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
So I like music in just to block out, any sound.
So note to self, guys, you can't manifest unless you have headphones. Just FYI.
So it's my morning practice, and I usually have kids up getting ready, so I usually put my AirPods to block out all the noise so that I can focus. But if you can find a quiet space, which I probably could, but no, it's several times a week, where even if you just going out in my backyard and just closing my eyes and trying not to. I have to start with clearing my mind, because in your mind, like, things are going, a mile a minute. I remember trying to tell my friend, because she was like, how are you doing everything you're doing? And the crazy thing is, Jonah, there were the months of the slump that we had last year, from July, August, September. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't sitting. I wasn't visualizing. I wasn't manifesting. We were going through some crazy stuff, and moving from California to Texas, and we had it's like we had boxes. We're just a crazy time of moving, and so I wasn't manifesting. And then the moment I started sitting and meditating, visualizing, manifesting things again, things picked up. I promise. Like, it was like in a week, closed another deal within a week. It was like, oh, it's because I'm not sitting and doing my meditations,
Right.
and sitting, seeing myself, actually signing a contract, seeing myself actually, putting these deals together. I visualize that stuff as well. I visualize a certain number in my bank account, and that number's there. So, and it's normal now to see that number. So once I reach that point, then I have to change. I have to, up it. So now I'm manifesting, something more. But the number that I would manifest, and when I open my phone and see it on my app and my bank account, I manifested that number, a couple years ago, and now it's there. So now it's like, okay, now it's time to, keep things moving.
I love it. What do you think manifesting is? What is happening there? Because it seems like magic, right? Like if anybody who doesn't believe in spirituality, doesn't believe in God, like immediately they're like, just that. I remember I used to think like this. I used to be, that's BS. What are you talking about? You think about it, okay, bro. Over. So what do you think is happening there? Do you believe in God? Do you think it's spirituality? I'm curious your opinion of like what is actually causing this success, because I know what causes this success.
Yeah.
But I am curious of different people's opinions of like what actually is going on there.
So, okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So, well, first, let's say it's funny that you said, because even people that believe in God, like I have friends who believe in God, and they're like, well, manifesting doesn't work, because if you're manifesting something, you're taking God out of it, and you're saying you're doing it yourself. I'm like, no. Yeah, so it's funny, Christian version, but yes, I am Christian. Okay, so here's what I believe it is, and I'm gonna go a little biblical here. The Bible says, Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. We weren't put here on earth to live, poorly, or I think some people think the closer you are to God, the poorer you have to be, and that's not the case at all. So actually, going through this study, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. So everyone knows the story of Adam and Eve, right? I have to get a little deep here. And you visualize, if you've heard the story where Eve, God told Adam and Eve, you cannot eat from, you can eat the fruit of life, but the fruit that you don't eat is the fruit of knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
Follow me?
Yeah.
So what do? They eat the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, and that kicks them. A lot of us always visualize that to be like actual fruit. They, took an apple from the tree, and they bit the apple, and it was the apple that they weren't supposed to eat, and they were banned from the garden. But the study that we started doing, it's so metaphorical. So God gave us two choices: to eat and live from the tree of life, which is the life of abundance. He gave us that choice. Or to, if you eat from this fruit of knowledge of good and evil, you're going to go through hard times. And I think the moment, when you eat from that life of good and evil, our minds, play a huge part in everything that we do. And so now you have this choice of free will. Okay, what choice am I going to make? I can choose bad or good. Now you have this knowledge available to you. Whereas what we were meant for was this life of abundance. We were meant for this life of, the fruit of life. And I think when we manifest, we're going back to that part in our brains as humans that was there from the beginning of time, and taking a deep dive back into that God planted there. He planted for us to have this to eat from the fruit of life, and to only think about living life abundantly. But we've become, as humans here on earth, we do our own thing. And so we don't go for what has been set for us. We don't go after the life that, God has designed for us. And so it's like, we take one step forward and 10 steps back, because we want to take our own route. So I think manifesting taps into a frequency and a wavelength that we were designed to have, yet we ignore. So I think once you tap into those frequencies and you tap into that wavelength, you're operating on a different level. And so, and I believe, in the universe and everything. So I believe once you tap into that frequency and wavelength, you're in connection with the universe created by God. So, Christians, you can't say the universe. Oh yeah, God created the universe. I can't say the universe. So I'm always wanting to be in connection with the universe and in that same frequency, because I believe once you're in that same frequency, things start happening that you can't even explain. Like I'm sure you've experienced this. You're like, man, I need to have this person in my life. I need to have this person on my team. An hour later, someone's calling you. You're like, hold on, wait. I was just thinking about, needing someone to do this for me, or, help me with this. And this person comes into your life. And I think that's when we recognize we're on the right wavelength because we've let our mind go to that, whether it was through manifestation or visualizing or whatever, and you're on the right frequency and wavelength. So that was a whole mouthful, but
No, I love it.
yeah,
I 100% agree on a lot of what you were saying. I don't personally believe in God, but like it is tapping into something that's like super in us of like, this is like when you're thinking about something, it sounds silly saying it aloud to a lot of people who are not as spiritual or mystical, but
yeah,
like, it works. And wherever it comes from, for those people who are even who maybe aren't spiritual and aren't as religious, it just does work is the thing. So like, if you can't explain it, then like, it's just I don't know. I love it so much. That was a great explanation, and yeah,
yeah. I challenged
amazing as well.
my friend who was, she believes in God, but she was like, no, she was like, you can't talk about manifesting. She goes, once you talk about manifesting, you're taking God. I challenged her. And she and her husband and 2 children have been living with her parents since COVID. And they were just in a financial bind and couldn't get out of it. And I was like, okay, I said, I challenge you on, from here until whenever it happens. This was probably, it was before Christmas. It was probably like November, October, November. I said, manifest and visualize you and your family moving out of your parents' home and into your own home. I said, visualize it. I don't care if you do it once a week, twice a week, whatever. I said, just do it. Jonah, do you know they closed on their house last Friday after
Amazing.
living with her parents? And there was no, she had no possible way in her brain. She was like, there's no way we can buy a house. And they're now buying their own house after 2 years living with her parents. I was like, see?
Right.
So people say it doesn't work. It works. I mean, magic, God, whatever you want to call it. If anyone has, any doubts, I just challenge them to do it. It's because you somehow, I think you just find, you start to, even find ways and figure out ways to make things happen, and the right people start coming into your life because you're focusing your energy on that thing, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. So when you focus your energy on something, it has to happen.
100%. No, 100% agree. I think that's one of the coolest things about being human is that we're probably the only beings in the universe other than God maybe that like, can intentionally visualize something and make it happen. We're the only ones who are like, able to consciously alter our surroundings. While I think everything in the universe might have that energy, we're the only ones who are able to harness it and
Yeah,
use it towards what we want to use it for.
exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
anyways, thank you for that. I love it. I love talking about manifestation. It's always a good time, right?
I wish everybody, I mean, you just wish like would do it. And you see people in a tough spot and you're like, gosh, I know ways that you can get out of this. You just got to do it. And, some
So
people do.
what's your advice to the person who's struggling? I know you get these calls or these texts sometimes because I get them where
Yeah.
somebody's like, "Hey, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I feel like nothing I'm doing is working." What do you say to that person?
I often ask them what, obviously just trying to figure out what have they done? What have they done to this point? And 9 times out of 10, I get the person who's like, well, I tried this in this market, and then, well, this market wasn't working, so I went to another market, and then I tried, calling direct to seller, and then I tried going agent. And my advice to them is always is stick with one thing.
Right.
Get really good at this one thing, and then go to something else, but stick with it for a long time. You can't do it for a week or 2 weeks, heck, not even a month, and then say, oh, it's been a month, it doesn't work, I'm going to try something else. No.
Right.
I tell them, number one, if you're going to go and and what we do, if you're going to do agent outreach, stick with agent outreach, build the relationship, and stick with it for as long as it takes to make the deal happen. It's going to work, number one, because it's already been proven to work. So there's no excuse that it can't work. It's working
Right.
for everybody else. There's not some magic, dust on you saying, don't work for Joey. So
Right. Right.
it's going to work. So I tell them, stick with that one thing, and get really, really good at it. Especially, and I know a lot of people when they get into wholesaling, whatever program they get in, even if it's Astro, I mean, it's an investment that you're putting into yourself. So it's, a lot of it, they're scared. They're like, oh my gosh, I just dropped this money on this, and now this isn't working. Oh my gosh. Well, it's going to work, but and I understand, like, it's a scary thing. So people who are struggling, I just stick with whatever method you're going to go for, don't recreate the wheel, don't reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already been made. Lean on to the people that, you know, a community, lean on to the people that, you know, you have seen become successful, but don't ask those people to do the job for you. You got to do the job. And, you know, I didn't get to where I am, you know, Jonah, you didn't get to where you are by having someone else do something for you. I mean, people are like, hey, can you send me this? Da, 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 da. No, I worked hard for you. You're not going to learn by having someone else, you know, take the shortcut for you. You got to do it yourself so that you can learn and, you know, get all the steps lined up. So no shortcuts, and stick with it all the way through.
Let me tell you guys something that Brittany and I both hate. And it's when someone messages us and says, hey, can you mentor me?
Yes.
Or at least for me personally,
Yeah.
like, hey, can we get on a phone call for 5 minutes? I'm
Yeah.
like, who are you?
Yeah, and it's never 5 minutes.
Why do you deserve my time? What, show me something that proves that you're actually going to use what I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to give. I love helping people out. It's just like 95% of the time, I have no idea if you're even going to use what I'm going to talk to you about. Are you ever going to talk to me again? Right, guys? So it is, I agree that that's like number one problem is people aren't consistently doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Or they're doing it consistently the same thing, but very, 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 very wrong. And that's like they didn't even do YouTube University. Those are like the only two that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. Do you see any other problems that like newer people usually have? What were your problems? What were like your struggles specifically when you were starting out?
Like, that's perfect. What are you talking about? I'm just kidding. Totally joking. I think so. Some of the struggles that I mean, I was, you know, this shiny object chaser when I first started. I was like, oh, well, you know, I told you I started first with cold calling and I hated that. And I was like, okay, well, let me do agent outreach. And that worked. And it was working so well. And, you know, this isn't even like as a new person come in. This was after success. And doing something really good and is really working. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay thousands of dollars for pay-per-click campaigns. And I was like, shit, why did I do that? I mean, wasted so much money doing it. But yeah, that was when I did the, you know, chasing shiny object. And then it came back to reality. I was like, okay, Brittany, what was working and what continues to work? And here's another good one. You know, especially, you know, when you're part of a community, you see some people have a goal to scale up and, you know, run this conglomerate, massive wholesale business. And they have a goal to scale up to a certain level. Maybe it's 20 or 50 or 100 people. And then some people, for me, my goal is to get the cash because it's, you know, cash is king. Have cash from wholesaling. And most of the time, you know, wholesaling is just as lucrative as fix and flipping because you get it done a lot faster. And sometimes, you know, the money is about the same. But my goal isn't to build this big, huge wholesale company. So one of the mistakes I made was like, you see everybody else, you know, scaling and hiring all these people. And so I started hiring all these people and spending time on training all these people. And I was like, hey, I don't need all these people because that's not my goal. My goal is to have cash to invest into, you know, long-term properties and into passive income. So just, you know, staying in line with your goal, staying in your lane. That's another thing I would just advise people on. I think, you know, some students, you know, they're 3 weeks in, and they're like, all right, I need to hire 5 VAs. I'm like, you want to do it in 3 weeks?
Nope, that is the wrong answer, Mister. I just started 3 weeks ago. Let's see if you can get a deal, right?
Yeah, right.
So, Brittany, we're getting closest to the end. So here's the last question I always ask everyone. So if you could go back to your old self right when you started, day one, just starting to get into real estate, what would you say to yourself then, knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's a good one. What would I say to myself then, knowing what I know now? Whew, gosh, that caught me off guard. I think a few things I would say to myself. Number one, plan for taxes.
Oh, good advice. That's a good one.
I think that'd be the first thing I tell myself. Like, hey, number one, plan to be successful. And because you're going to be successful, plan for taxes.
Right.
And I would actually, you know, just for me, this is me personally. I didn't let my husband come in, and if anyone has a significant other, or even if it's a friend or something, I didn't let him come in on this with me until just recently, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. He's been wanting to do this with me. I'd be like, no, find your own market. No. So I would, being new, I would tell myself, it's work smarter, not harder, and don't do it alone, because it's you go so much further doing it, having someone in your corner. You said you may not be building a huge team, but even if it's someone else in the community that you have a good relationship with, and not being a taker. I'm not saying, get with someone and just take from them. Like you said, hey, get on phone me for an hour. No, that's not what I'm
Right.
talking about. I'm talking about having someone in your life personally that you can do this with. I probably would have let my husband in on this with me earlier, because my life has become so much easier. It's why I could spend 5 hours in the gym now, because
Right. Wait, what was like the initial, I don't want to let him in? What was that? Where was that coming from?
it was for me. It was my thing.
Oh, it was like, it's my baby.
Yeah, it was my baby, and I felt it was my baby of something I was really good at, and I
Was
didn't
it
want.
kind of like was it kind of I want to do this myself. I want to show myself that I can do this
Yeah,
myself. Was it kind of
I,
that?
I think well, that, and I didn't want to. I didn't ever want to feel I had to lean on him for anything. I do really well learning things myself. I do really
Mm-hmm.
well if I learn something from start to finish, A to B, and make all the mistakes along the way, then I really, really learn. Whereas if someone else is involved, then I feel I don't learn as much as I could if it were just me. So that's something I was a little fearful of, because my husband, he's a go-getter. I knew he would have taken this, and he probably would have grown it probably even larger than I did. And I probably would have been, kind of just confused and like, where do I step in? So, but that was me. I'm so glad. I even told him yesterday. I was like, man, you are killing it at this. Like, he's a rock star at it. People love him. Like, sellers, agents, they love him, and he's just a great person to talk to. One lady, she calls him John with the sweet voice.
Nice.
And he knows a lot of people. This is kind of off track, but he knows so many people. He's been so involved just in other areas of his life. He was a baseball coach, and mind you, we live in College Station, Texas, which is about 4.5 hours from Dallas. He had a deal with this agent who, she was like, hold on. She goes, your name sounds really familiar. She goes, I think 7 years ago when we used to live in College Station, you coached my son in T-ball. He's like, so random. It was her. He was like, oh yeah, I remember your kid. We live 4.5 hours away now, and this was 7 years ago. So he has a way with people. But yeah, to answer your question, I would do this. I would let people in a little sooner, people that are willing to add value and, take the journey with me. So
I love it. Awesome. Cool.
yeah.
Brittany, how can the
Jalen?
people reach you? What are we plugging? We got books for sale? What are we doing here?
So, well, there's my Instagram. I am at
Love
the
it.
Britt Berryman. So follow me on Instagram, DM me. One of the things I really want to touch on, you asked me what were some of my goals for. I'm going to answer that question because this is
I'm going to
really,
answer it whether you or not, Jonah. So here we're going.
I noticed, and it's funny because I think you and I talked about a little bit, but as a wholesaler, when you get into it and you start making money, okay, now what do I do with this money? Some people just hold it. One of the things that I'll be launching this year, is my goal to launch, is a course that talks about, the next step. It's called And Beyond. So now you're wholesaling, now you have money. Now what? How do you turn that into something that's passive? So I launched a course called And Beyond.
Ooh.
I can't wait to get it out there. And
how do we get on the wait list?
Get on the wait list. Yeah. So you can DM me and go to my Instagram at the Britt Berryman. Shoot me a DM and just simply put in that DM, just say And Beyond. That's all I want you to message.
And Beyond.
And
Okay.
Beyond. So
Love it.
ANDBEYOND. Just And Beyond.
Guys, take that course because you're gonna want to know. I might take that course because I need to get to the and beyond part now because I'm wholesaling a lot.
Yeah.
I need to be owning a little bit more properties. That's always the classic problem as a wholesaler, right? It's like, man, I just want that next 20K hit type of thing.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. It's what the next one. I gotta have the next one. But it's a good problem to have, right?
It is. It's better than not having any.
Exactly.
So, okay, hit you up on Instagram and beyond. Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have anything you want anybody else to be following?
No, just follow me on Instagram.
What are your markets? People want to send you deals.
Oh, yes. So my markets, I live in Texas. Specifically, my market is Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Central Texas.
Dallas, Houston, Central Texas?
Yep, Central Texas.
What percent of ARV are your buyers buying at, or you buying at for flipping?
So my buyers are currently buying anywhere between 55 and 60% ARV.
Right.
Yeah. Me specifically, depending, so we buy in Bryan College Station and some in DFW. So it really just depends on, especially DFW because the area is so crazy, but we're buying at about 53% ARV.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. I'm just putting this up here so people, when they look back, they remember.
And it's not, minus repairs. It's straight,
That's straight. Just like regular fixer type of stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So we don't do 70% minus repairs because it kind of comes out to the same. So that's the straight number.
Amazing. Brittany, you're a killer. Do you have any last words for the people?
If whether you're doing deals, not doing deals, you're on your 50th wholesale deal or 50th investment property, or you're trying to get the first one, it is happening. It's doable. Don't give up. Don't quit. No excuses. No excuses at all for the rest of your life, because if one person has done it, you can do it. It may take longer, may take short, it doesn't matter. You can do it. You got in this for a reason. Don't be where you are right now 5 years from now.
I love it. I love it so much. Guys, next week, we're back on regular schedule, 5 p.m. PST. I'm pretty sure next week is Vina Jetty, which is going to be sick.
Ooh,
that's a big one. Every once in a while, we get a big one, guys. And so don't miss that. She's like queen of raising money. So that's going to be amazing. Brittany, you're amazing. Thank you guys so much. I will see y'all next week.
Thanks for having me.
Freaking go.